Yes, good evening and welcome back to the Football Tribe BG channel. What case circles is your usual suspect as always. Hope you guys are doing well. I hope you've had a wonderful start to the new week. It's been a beautiful, tiring, and hot Monday, but I hope you do not mind all that you're still in there surging to make things work for you in every respect. Anyways, we are back like I did promise for those of you that were part of our morning broadcast. That hmm, we may have some internet glitches, so kindly bear with me in case we do have disruptions because I've been experiencing a couple of them this evening in as far as my internet connection is concerned. So allow me to test our audios and we'll get the conversation underway as expected as we wait for other members to join the broadcast. It's almost 10:40 p.m. So, but I can see flags. So kindly bear with me in case you notice an internet lag on. I hope we do not get any disruptions during the course broadcast, but it's not looking pretty so far. Anyways, let's wait for all members to join us for this evening's broadcast because there's plenty for us to discuss. There's quite plenty for us to discuss actually. So much news to talk about from Manchester United, from Arsenal, from Bayer Leverkusen, from Barcelona, from Real Madrid. Xabi Alonso there speaking at his first press conference since being announced as the new Real Madrid head coach. So we're going to be speaking about that and more in regards to what has transpired throughout the course of today. Of course, the expectations have been quite high. I know from many of you. I'm sure many of you have been looking forward to this particular broadcast. So I do hope we can get the conversation going. Hi everyone. Hi AJ plus. Hi A plus J. Sorry, I read it AJ. It's A plus J. Hi, how are you doing? Where are you joining us from this evening? Kindly let me know what country you're joining us from. Good to have you all here. My name is Robert K. Sarkos. Mr. Leo, how are you doing, sir? Where are you joining us from? How is your evening? How is the day? I know for some it's late in the night, probably about midnight in India, about 10:40 p.m. in Turkey, and maybe about 8:40. That's in the UK, and that kind of thing. So, oh, that's good, Mr. Leo. Where are you joining us from? Guys, kindly like the broadcast and also consider subscribing to the channel if you're new here. Please consider subscribing to the channel and also like the broadcast. But do let me know where you're joining us from. What country are you joining us from? How has been your day? How are you doing? Let's, have a brief engagement. Let it not be a one-sided conversation. Let us first have the conversation between you and I before I get into today's topics and that kind of thing. It's good to have you, Mr. Leo and A plus J. Good to have you guys here on the broadcast. Kindly consider subscribing to the channel and also liking the broadcasts. But yeah, good to have you, all of you. Good to have you. I'm from Thailand. Oh, you're from Thailand. Wow, that's amazing. You're the first person we've had on the channel from Thailand. That's good. How is Thailand? Thailand. I think that's Asia, right? What do I know about Thailand? Not so many things actually, but it's a beautiful country. So I've had. Really. You're the first person we've had on the channel from Thailand. It's good to have you on the broadcast. Good to have you on the broadcast. Kindly consider subscribing to the channel and also liking the broadcast as well. But thank you. Guys, do not stay silent. Please let me know where you're joining us from, how your day has been, and that kind of thing. Let me know what interests you, and we will take it from there, one step at a time. But let me hear from you, guys. So, but in part of tonight's broadcast, we'll be looking at the Premier League team of the season according to Opta analysts that Opta analyst gave their own team of the season, Premier League team of the season, based on statistics. This one is predominantly based on statistics. So that's their thing. And we'll be looking at that team. We'll be looking at the things happening at Manchester United. They've gone to Asia. I do not know how close Thailand is to Hong Kong or Malaysia, but that's where Manchester United are going to be for the next couple of days. So we're going to be speaking about that. There's news from Barcelona, news from Real Madrid. Abdul Aziz, yes, one of our usual suspects there is a Real Madrid fan. I would be nice to maybe hear perhaps from him. But I hope you guys are doing well. I hope you've had a wonderful day. It's a pleasure to have you once again on the Football Tribe YouTube channel. Like I said, Robert Kesakos is my name, and I'm coming to you live from Kampala, Uganda. In case you're wondering, yes, that's where I'm coming live from. And greetings to you all wherever it is that you are. So we'll start things with that Premier League team of the season by Opta analyst, which is statistical based for them to choose. They went with a 4-4-2 kind of system, which one would interpret. But anyway, it's a 4-4-2. It's not basic anyway. But they went with Matt Sells in goal. That's the Nottingham Forest goalkeeper who has shared the Golden Glove or Golden Glove this season with Arsenal's David Bryan, keeping 13 clean sheets. So I mean, the reason as to why I'm picking this team is because it has similarities to the kind of team that I did pick out for my best 11 of the Premier League of the season. Although me, I went with the back three, these guys have gone on with a back four. So they do have Virgil van Dijk in the centre back. We did have Virgil van Dijk. For us, our goalkeeping option was David Bryan. They have him alongside William Saliba. I think Virgil van Dijk has had the most passes this Premier League season. I think about 2,900 passes that he's made throughout the entire campaign. And William Saliba is close there, perhaps in, I think, the third position. I need to sleep, sorry. It's okay. It's okay, Mr. Leo. It was a pleasure having you for the short while we've had you. I hope you've considered subscribing to the channel, but it's really, really good. Maybe perhaps tomorrow we'll look to come a little bit earlier so that we get to have you for a longer time. But it was a pleasure having you. Have yourself a blessed night. So so it's Virgil van Dijk and William Saliba in that centre back pairing. Then Joško Gvardiol at left back, as well as Alexander Trent-Arnold at right back. Now, for those of you that do remember my Premier League team of the season, I went with a back three that included Virgil van Dijk, Nikola Milinkovic of Nottingham Forest, and Milos Kerkez of AFC Bournemouth. So these ones go with a double pivot of Declan Rice and Ryan Gravenberch. Remember, for us we had Declan Rice alongside Bruno Fernandes. Yes, and then ahead of that pivot, they do have Matthias Cunha to the left wing and Bryan Mbuwemo on the right wing, and then Alexander Isak and Mohamed Salah complete the best 11 of the analyst Premier League team of the season. For me, ahead of the double pivot of Bruno Fernandes, we had Cole Palmer, we had Cole Palmer, we had Mohamed Salah, and then we had also Alexander Isak and then Chris Wood in that starting level. Those are the players. That's the team that we had. So really, at least there's Mo Salah, Declan Rice, Virgil van Dijk are some of the similarities that we do share for our Premier League best 11 of the season. So that's beautiful. I wanted us to get that one out of the way. So, and then we'll move on. We're going to be speaking about Manchester United because immediately after their 2-0 victory over Aston Villa on Super Sunday, that saw them finish 15th on the Premier League table with a mere 42 points. That victory being their 11th from the campaign overall, saw them finish in the worst position ever since their relegation season of 1973-74 when they got themselves relegated. So really didn't look good. But as soon as that ended, they had to make a sacrifice, and that's what Ruben Amorim called it, that they had to make a little sacrifice, and boarded Malaysia, I think Air Malaysia or Malaysian Airways, whatever the plane is, and they are off to Malaysia where for their Asian trip, during which they will be playing at least 2 games. That's on Wednesday 28th and then on Friday 30th. Yes. So on that's on Wednesday 28th, in Kuala Lumpur, they will play against Ashon All Stars. They will play against Ashon All Stars. That game will come on Wednesday, and then on Friday they will fly out to Hong Kong, and then they will play the Hong Kong national team. Yes, they'll play the Hong Kong national side. That's what they'll play on Friday in those games. They went with a contingent of 32 players. Of course, among those that were left behind were Viktor Gyokeres and Christian Eriksen, who were quote unquote left behind for personal reasons, while Lenny Yoro, Lisandro Martinez, and Mazorui, those ones missed the trip through injury. So those ones didn't make the trip, but Alejandro Garnacho is part of that contingent, as well as the likes of Harry Maguire, Luke Shaw. They are all part of that contingent, as well as Casemiro, some youngsters in there, including Aiden Heaven, Chido Martin Obi. They are all part of that 32-man contingent that flew out to Malaysia as soon as that game finished at Old Trafford on Sunday, when they said their goodbyes to their home fans for the season. So they will play those 2 games, and then the trip seeks to, of course, it is part of the partnership that they do have with Apollo Tires. I think they're the ones, it's part of the sponsorship agreements that they do have with Apollo, being one of their sponsors to do the Asian tour, because Andre Onana, Harry Maguire, and Diego Dalot will also travel to Mumbai on Thursday, that's Thursday 29th, for an engagement, for I think fan engagement and that kind of thing, before we join the team in Hong Kong for the game on Friday and that kind of thing. So let's wait and see how that all transpires for Manchester United. The trip has a potential, the potential to raise about $10 million, which is approximately £7.8 million, that they could gain from this trip. And remember, their finances are kind of on the fences, so they really need everything that they can get. And some of the staff at Carlington have also been informed that they will be let go. They will be losing their jobs in additional, staff cut-offs, as the club continues to find ways of saving a little bit of pennies here and there, and in that kind of rebuild. So that's Ineos taking all the decisions in regards to that. So, I mean, they're not the first team to do this kind of thing where you complete a season and immediately take off for a pre-season tour. I think clubs like Aston Villa have done it before when they made trips to Australia and that kind of thing. So, but of course, this entire season, Manchester United has played 60 games across all competitions. So adding an extra 2 really, it doesn't hurt much for when you look at other, in comparison to other teams, especially teams that went the farthest in other competitions. So the potential teams that have played more games as compared to Manchester United. Anyways, so that leaves it at that. But still talking Manchester United, we all know that they've agreed a deal to sign Matheus Cunha for £62.5 million. That money will be paid across 3 different installments in a space of 2 years. According to the reports that we are getting, the player did agree to a 5-year contract with an option to extend for a further year. That's for Matheus Cunha, who has had a very, very brilliant season, scoring 15 goals and providing six assists for Wolverhampton Wanderers in the Premier League alone this season. So Manchester United are making the early moves really in the transfer window this summer. Mariam Momoto is here with us, one of our usual suspects. Hi, good evening, Mariam. How are you doing? I hope you've had a wonderful Monday. Good to have you with us anyways. So then the other player Manchester United are interested in signing is Liam Delap, that we've spoken about on multiple occasions. Manchester United were leading the West to sign him, but there are other teams that have joined this conversation. And again, we spoke about some of this, I think, yesterday. Among those is Everton, who have approached the player. That's the 22-year-old England international who scored 12 goals this season for Ipswich Town. And then Chelsea are in that conversation. And according to TalkSport, Chelsea have jumped ahead of Manchester United in the conversation to sign Liam Delap. And the explanation for that is as simple as Enzo Maresca, who is the Chelsea manager, knows Liam Delap very well because Liam Delap came through the Manchester City Academy. And so remember, Enzo Maresca was part of Pep Guardiola's coaching staff at some point before going on to join Leicester City and guided them to, to the promotion to the Premier League for this season that was concluded, and also won the championship. So really, he knows him well. Then the other promise is for him to play UEFA Champions League football, which Manchester United, we all know, does not have. Not even European football in the sense of Europa League and maybe Conference League. They do not have that. So there's that promise that Chelsea are dangling in the boys' face. And then Everton are guaranteeing first team football because there is an expectation that Dominic Calvert-Lewin could leave the club, and then he sort of fills that void. So Everton have made their pitch, Chelsea have made their pitch, and according to reports, there were really, really positive talks with Chelsea. So Chelsea have moved ahead of Manchester United in the pursuit of the England international, who is going to be featuring for England, I think at the Euros under 21. So there's that. And then, but all those are in the mix of that conversation. Not to mention, Newcastle are equally in the mix of that conversation. Now, Newcastle look at him as a potential replacement for Callum Wilson. However, Newcastle are also holding contract talks. They are not exercising their right to extend Callum Wilson's contract for a further year, but they are potentially discussing performance-based contract, and the player will decide on whether to stay or seek greener pastures elsewhere. So Newcastle are also in the market for another striker, and Liam Delap is one of those that they are looking at. Still speaking, Newcastle and Manchester United, the two are set to rival for Bryan Mbuwemo. Yes, Manchester United have held talks with Bryan Mbuwemo's camp over a potential switch from the GTEC Stadium to Old Trafford for the 25-year Cameroon international, who has scored 20 goals in the Premier League this season and provided 7 assists. Mariam is asking, where is Safa Ali? Come and have fun. Safa Ali, I do not know, but hopefully he will join us in the course of this broadcast, but he had not yet joined. So let's continue as we wait for him as well. So Bryan Mbuwemo is one of those players that is going to be sort of a hot pick in this transfer window. Newcastle are interested because they want somebody for their right wing as well as Manchester United. He's a player that would suit, I think, both teams and would have been really, really well. But 27 goal contribution for goals and 7 assists has been really, really impressive for the Cameroon international. He's been really combining well with Yohan Wissa, who does, by the way, feature for Democratic Republic of Congo as far as national team football is concerned. So that's Yohan Wissa or Yohan Wissa, depending on how you pronounce that. So those are some of the transfer conversations that at Manchester United, of course, with Emma is back with us. Emma is back with us. Yes, Emma Belson is back with us. Hi, Emma. How are you doing? How is been your day? I hope you're good. How is the UK? Yes, you're from the UK, from what I remember, Emma. But it's good to have you back on the channel. So, like we spoke about at Manchester United, we expect an exodus of players. We've spoken already about Victor Lindelof, Christian Eriksen, Johnny Evans. Those ones are definitely leaving at the end of their contracts. Garnacho has been told to seek greener pastures. Luke Shaw is expected to leave. So is Marcus Rashford, who has been on loan to Aston Villa. Although it looks like, because Aston Villa missed out on the UEFA Champions League football, the 27-year-old England international will be seeking to play his football from elsewhere, with Barcelona reportedly interested in his services. So keep an eye on that one. Jadon Sancho, Chelsea, according to reports, Chelsea will not exercise their obligation to buy him for £25 million and will rather instead pay a fee about £4.5 to £5 million to Manchester United to have the player return to Old Trafford, and then which means think he will leave the club. And then Anthony, who has been spent the second half of the season on loan to Real Betis. On Wednesday, he said Real Betis will be up in action against Chelsea in the UEFA Conference League final. So that one is also expected to leave the club. So that's already about what, 8 players almost. If there are offers, suitable offers for Andre Onana, the club are willing to let him go, and he does have offers, suitors, in the Saudi Pro League. So keep an eye on that. Then the other player that could potentially leave is Casemiro. If again good offers come for him, he could leave the club. So those are some of the players. And then we've spoken, I think, about Al-Hil's interest in Manchester United's Bruno Fernandes and all their offerings that reach the region of about £700,000 in weekly wages, which is about 65 million pounds, close to that fee. That is with bonuses included per annum. And that's quite lucrative. And then, of course, the manager Ruben Amorim, speaking about that situation, said that they will try to convince and show Bruno Fernandes that they are moving in the right direction, that they are trying to do things better and improve overall. So let's keep an eye on that situation. I think let's pause the conversation about Manchester United at that and then move on to other teams or other subjects. Where do we start? Let's start the conversation, I think, at Liverpool, seeing that Mariam is still here with us. Mariam there, a Liverpool fan. Now, Liverpool could lose Cody Gakpo. That's the Dutch international who has been added to Bayern Munich's list of potential wingers. Remember, Bayern Munich are looking to sign Kaoru Mitoma from Brighton. That's the 28-year-old Japanese international. They have him on their shortlist for wingers as a potential replacement for Leroy Sané / Kingsley Coman. On that list, they also have Rafael Leao of AC Milan. That's the Portuguese international. And now Cody Gakpo, that's the 26-year-old Dutchman, has been added to that list. And according to Florian Plettenberg, he says Bayern Munich are now considering Cody Gakpo in their search for a high-profile left winger. The 26-year-old Dutchman is in the shortlist behind Kaoru Mitoma and Rafael Leao. There has already been contact regarding Cody Gakpo and still is. Max Ebal likes him. That's the sporting director there at Bayern Munich. So let's keep an eye on that one. Gakpo is considered a potential departure candidate at Liverpool if a suitable offer arrives. His contract is valid until June 2028. That means he still has 3 years left to his contract. Then, speaking Liverpool, there's a possibility that Darwin Núñez could leave the club to either be destined for Spain or Italy or even the Saudi Pro League, depending on where he chooses. Should right offers come for him, but then Liverpool are lining up Hugo Ekitike, that's the 22-year-old French striker at Eintracht Frankfurt, as a potential replacement for Darwin Núñez, but also have Benjamin Sesko of RB Leipzig on their shortlist or on their radar for potential striker replacements should Darwin Núñez leave the club. And then, of course, Liverpool continued with talks over Milos Kerkez, that's with AFC Bournemouth, to have that deal concluded, but talks are still ongoing, and we'll be updating you as soon as they reach a critical stage. Speaking of critical stages, talks have moved on well between Liverpool and Leverkusen over the signing of Florian Wirtz. Yes. And according to Florian Plettenberg, he says negotiations between Liverpool and Bayer Leverkusen regarding Florian Wirtz are progressing positively and at full speed. As reported, both teams are aiming for a quick agreement. Wirtz is waiting for the green light for the medical. Now, there's also a report that Liverpool have tabled a bid in the excess of 100 million euros to try and sign the 22-year-old German international. They are from Bayer Leverkusen, although a deal is yet to be struck. According to reports, is that the two parties are well advancing on negotiations over the modalities of that deal and everything else. Then, I think that's the gist of the conversation in as far as Liverpool is concerned. Liverpool has a good number of potential departures depending on what offers do come for the table. We've spoken about Federico Chiesa before, and Napoli are interested in his services, but on a season-long loan, perhaps with an option to buy. So keep an eye out on that one. Of course, Alexander Trent-Arnold is on his way out. We did see him in tears. He kissed goodbye to the Anfield Stadium yesterday. Then, so is Harvey Elliott is a potential departure from Liverpool. The goalkeeper in Kelleher is a potential departure. The centre back in Joel Kwasha is a potential departure from Liverpool. So keep your eyes peeled on Liverpool as well, because there could be some significant departures, as well as there are going to be so many significant incomings because they are also looking for a centre back, and we'll keep you updated. Then rumors, this is again some bit of latest news, that rumors linking FC Bayern Munich with Eberechi Eze are kindly wide the mark. There have been some rumors linking the 26-year-old with attacking midfielder from Crystal Palace with a potential move to Bayern Munich, but that's not being discussed at the moment. Remember, the other player that is in the Bayern Munich shortlist is Xavi Simons of RB Leipzig. So let's keep our eyes on that. Away from that, but let's stay with in Germany, where Bayer Leverkusen have today formally announced Erik ten Hag as their new manager on a 2-year contract. That deal has been signed and sealed and stamped. He is the new manager at Bayer Leverkusen, so that's quite interesting. Of course, he had to say no to his former club in Ajax to explore his prowesses and enjoy the project at Bayer Leverkusen. So that's where he's going. Then we did talk about Jonathan Tah from signing for Bayern Munich from Bayer Leverkusen. Now, while he's joined Bayern Munich, he was still under contract with Bayer Leverkusen until June 30th. Now, because Bayern Munich want to use the player, as part of their squad for the FIFA Club World Cup that starts in mid-June until mid-July, they are discussing a potential fee to have Bayer Leverkusen let the player out of his contract early. So there is also that news. So if you hear about it, do not be surprised and you'll be wondering. You told us he was living on a free transfer. Yes, because his contract ends on the 30th of June. But because they want Bayern Munich want Bayer Leverkusen to let the player out of his contract early for them to include him in the other squad, then it means that they could pay him a small fee. That is similar to what we spoke about Real Madrid in relation to Alexander Trent-Arnold some time back, again with the report that Real Madrid were offering up to €1 million to Liverpool to have Alexander Arnold let out of his contract before June 30th. Still in Germany, Joe Bellingham today did make a visit to Eintracht Frankfurt for a stadium tour and that kind of thing, because they are interested in signing the Sunderland midfielder. That's Job Bellingham, the brother to Real Madrid star in Jude Bellingham. Job Bellingham is only 19 years of age, so a lot of German clubs are really interested in his services. It's not just Eintracht Frankfurt, but RB Leipzig and Borussia Dortmund are all interested in his services. No medicals has been had yet. He was just given a stadium tour, a town tour, shown the club offices and that kind of thing, with the promise of playing in Europe. So let's wait and see. And according to Florian Plettenberg, that's who works with Sky Germany. He says Job Bellingham will be. Apologies. He says Job Bellingham, Eintracht Frankfurt have a very good feeling that after his visit today, sticking point is the transfer fee. Marcus Kroch and his team showed Bellingham and his parents around the city stadium and the club officers. Today, the coaching staff made it clear where he is supposed to play. He is expected to become a key player plus Champions League football. Dortmund is fighting for him. BBB boss Aki Watke personally flew to visit Bellingham's on Sunday. So you can see all managers are trying to make their best pitch possible to Joe Bellingham to see if he can join them. So really, that interest is quite fascinating, and that's usually how teams go about their transfer business. They make the best pitch, and then players decide why they want to join. You remember Kylian Mbappe before he joined Monaco. You had Arsene Wenger making it, and then when agents asked for a lot of money, he bowed out of the rest to sign him, and that's how he ended up at Monaco. And a couple of seasons later, he was joining PSG in a deal that was way above 150 million pounds. So really, let's wait and see how things transpire. Maybe we can fly away from Germany for now and go to Spain, where Lamine Yamal has agreed to sign a new deal at Barcelona. For the new deal is going to be 6 years. That's running until June 2031. That's that deal completed by his agent Jorge Mendes, as well as the Barcelona director Indeco and the president in Joan Laporta. So it's really exciting news. That's so new deals for Rafinha up to June 2028. Of course, the manager in Hans Flick until June 2027. His is a 2-year contract. Rafinha 3 years, and then Lamine Yamal, of course, is only 17 years of age. And by the time this contract reaches June 2031, it will only be 23, maybe 24, about that kind of age. So it's still well within reach. And Barcelona are closing in on Barcelona attacking that's Ansu Fati. They do want him on a season-long loan with an obligation to buy plus a couple of sell-on clause. So that deal could really happen very soon. Monaco are advancing well in talks with the French, with Barcelona over Ansu Fati. So expect that deal to be on as well. Now, we're talking about a player who just a couple of days ago, Joan Laporta was saying they were considering extending his contract at Barcelona. And that takes us to Real Madrid, where, while being unveiled today, Xabi Alonso did say that Rodrigo is a very important part for them, and that's Rodrigo Goes, and that he will be looking forward to speaking to him amidst strong links, linking him with a potential move away from Real Madrid this summer. John, hi John, how are you? How are you, my boss? How are you doing? How has been your day? John Hickey, how are you doing, my brother? How has been your day? I hope you're doing well, but thanks for joining us. Kindly like the broadcast and also consider subscribing to the channel if you haven't already, but much appreciated to have you on the broadcast. So, yes, I was speaking about Xabi Alonso. He was unveiled today. Sorry, he was officially unveiled today. Of course, yesterday was announced and today was officially unveiled to him. Birthday man, sorry about my brother. I hope everything works out. Tomorrow will be better. As we often say, we try again tomorrow. When today fails, we try again tomorrow. But it's good to have you in the broadcast. Xabi Alonso, while addressing the press today, he did say, Rico is a Real Madrid player, and I'll speak to everyone at Real Madrid. We need him. He's an amazing player. Those were his words. Of course, managers can say that kind of thing, and then before you know it, the player is being let go. So that let those words not sway Arsenal fans into thinking that Arsenal have no chance whatsoever in the player. Remember, at Real Madrid, if they do need to sell a player, For those of you that do remember, you remember he sold Angel Di Maria Manchester United in his prime, sold Mesut Ozil in his prime to Arsenal. That was in 2013. So much the anguish of, by the way, Cristiano Ronaldo at the time when they let go of Mesut Ozil and subsequently Angel Di Maria, and then they let go of Gonzalo Higuain. You know, they went on to let off some players that were really, really in their prime. And so while Xabi Alonso appreciates that and he thinks maybe he should be staying, then anything can happen. Anything can happen in regards to keeping him. Then Manchester City do want, okay, away from Xabi Alonso and everything. Of course, he's a club legend. He's a club legend that has been sort of, you know, been welcomed back to the club warmly, back to Madrid. He's a Madrid size. Hala Madrid was part of that squad that won the La Decima UEFA Champions League. He didn't get to feature in that game particularly, I think, because he was out sidelined, I think, through injury. But we saw him when Sergio Ramos squad that equalizer running in wild celebrations to go and celebrate with the rest of the team. No, actually, that was when Gareth Bale squad to make it 2-1 in extra time. So that's when I think that's the moment he went to celebrate. Anyways, let's run out from Spain a bit and return to the UK, where Manchester City want to complete the deal for Tijan Reinders. That's this AC Milan midfielder before the start of the FIFA Club World Cup. Remember, Chelsea and Man City will be representing the Premier League of the UK at the FIFA Club World Cup that is going to be played in the United States. So they want to complete a deal for the 26-year-old Dutch international who scored about 10 goals and provided a couple of assists in the Italian Serie A this season. So really, really, Tijan Reinders, they want to complete that deal before other suitors really swoop in. We know Real Madrid have been linked the potential move for Tijan Reinders among a host of other clubs that are interested in his services. So they want to complete that deal. Man City are also interested in signing Ryan Atinori from Wolverhampton Wanderers. So that the Ryan Atinori has attracted interest from Manchester City, because they do want a left back in their squad for next season. He's had a very wonderful season. Doesn't struggle with so many injuries. That's for the 23-year-old Algerian international. So he's played 37 out of the 38 Premier League games this season and scored 4 goals and provided 7 assists. That's an 11-goal contribution for the 23-year-old Algerian international. Speaking still of Man City want to sign Tino Livramento from Newcastle as their preferred replacement for Kyle Walker in that right back position. So again, keep your eyes peeled for that deal as well, because Man City are really, really interested and they want to get the business really done before the start of the FIFA Club World Cup. That's really, really crucial because they don't want to be busy with that competition and then, you know, sort of lose out to players, to other competitors. So that's also all in as far as potential deals go in the transfer window. That's for Manchester City. Then maybe okay, we've spoken about majority of this. Yeah, pretty much that's it from the side of Manchester City, as well as Barcelona. We discussed Barcelona. Remember Barcelona looking for a winger. They interested in Marcus Rashford and Luis Diaz from Liverpool. That's for the 28-year Colombian international who be on the move. And then AC Monaco are interested in signing David De Gea Quintana from Fiorentina, but Fiorentina want to extend his contract until June 2028. So they want to give him a 3-year contract. It's been quite astronomical, very, very impressive in that Fiorentina side. But AC Monaco are interested in his services. Of course, we spoke about Marcus Rashford will be available for about £40 million, which was the sort of put as a mandatory fee if Aston Villa did want to retain the player. But from my understanding is that after failing to qualify for UEFA Champions League football, Aston Villa may need to sell some players to stay in sort of the good books of the PSR rules. That's the profit and sustainability rules of the Premier League. Hello, Boss Royal. How are you doing, my friend? How is the UK? Good to have you back on the broadcast. So, and among the players that they could lose is the goalkeeper in Emiliano Martinez, who received the red card in their 2-0 loss to Manchester United on Sunday. Then Morgan Rogers has also attracted a lot of interest from the likes of Chelsea. Arsenal have been mentioned in that conversation. Manchester City have been mentioned in that conversation because they could be looking for a replacement for Jack Grealish. And we all know that Jack Grealish has been left out of the last couple of match days, including the FA Cup final. I think it was on the bench, but never got to feature. So he's sort of been left out in the cold. And Pep Guardiola was speaking about it, and he said, unfortunately, he has 24 players, and every match day he has to leave up out about 5 to 6 players of the match day squad. So as much as it pains him, it is what it is. And the reporter who was pressing him about Jack Wilshere reverted back to him and say, why don't you ask me about O'Reilly? How about James McAtee? Really? So that conversation is also ongoing in terms of Aston Villa. So those are some of the players that Aston Villa could lose. If I were Manchester United, or if I was a Manchester United advisor, given where they are, I would implore them to make a move for Yuri Tielemans from Manchester United, from Aston Villa, because they need that number 8 kind of player. Then, speaking of a number 8, one of the preferred choices for number 8 in Alex Baena, that's the Villarreal midfielder, was seen to be shedding tears as he said goodbyes to the Yellow Submarines. It is expected that he could join Atletico Madrid in a deal believed to be about 40 to 50 million euros. So that's for Alex Baena. Those reports are there in Spain. So let's wait and see how that goes. But Manchester United, if you need an experienced, number 8, in as far as the Premier League is concerned, Yuri Tielemans is right there for any suitors who would wish to strengthen their, midfield. And for me, I would say go for him. Go for him. Really, very, very, very interesting player. Very interesting player. Still only 28 years of age. He's made 36 appearances this season, scored 3 goals, and provided 7 assists. So for me, I really, really rate him highly. And I remember having a conversation with a cohort of Arsenal fans back in the days before he left Leicester City. And I'm like, Arsenal should be going for that guy. He's good. He's really, really good in as far as playing in that number 8 role is concerned. But, well, at 28, the Belgian international is quite experienced. And I think Man United could use that kind of player. And then sort of avoid the temptation of playing Bruno Fernandes in the deeper midfield. That's as a number 8. I do not think he really thrives well in that role. So you get a player like Yuri Tielemans to play alongside Manuel Ugarte, and then you have ahead of them, you have Bruno Fernandes, you have your Matthias Cunha, and maybe Amadou Diallo, plus your striker. I think that would really, really work out well in that kind of setup, really. So anyways, let's wait and see how United look to set things up in as far as going forward is concerned. So anyways, let's move away from United and what we wish well for them. But any top Premier League side would be really, really glad to get Yuri Tielemans off Aston Villa's books. Not that they are keen to lose him, because he's a very, very pivotal player. Let's run away to Arsenal a bit, because the only debate at Arsenal right now, of course, they're interested in wingers. They've been linked with Bryan Mbuwemo, Kaomi Toma, Rodrigo Goes, Rafael Leao, Nico Williams, and name it all. But the biggest topic at Arsenal is none other than a striker. We've spoken about Liverpool and their potential pursuit for strikers. We've spoken about Chelsea and their potential pursuit for strikers. Of course, because the striker market is not so saturated in as far as modern football is concerned. Because look at the top strikers, you'll let's say, Alexander Isak, Viktor Gyokeres, Benjamin Sesko, Ugo Ekitike, Jonathan David, pretty much then, of course, in latest conversations is Liam Delap. Those are the kind of strikers that many clubs, a whole host of clubs, are trying to compete for. So you'll find that a player like Benjamin Sesko is on the list for Manchester United, for Arsenal, for Liverpool, and that kind of thing. Of course, the priority for Newcastle and Arsenal had been so the priority for Arsenal and Liverpool had been signing Alexander Isak from Newcastle, but Newcastle have been qualified for the UEFA Champions League. That potentiality of luring him away from St. James's Park with 3 years still left on his contract is a dream as good as gone, really, really. So unless a miracle does happen between now and then, and even if any of those two clubs were to tempt him away from St. James's Park, it would take a record transfer fee. So, but let's wait and see. So that leaves, Viktor Gyokeres. And as far as Arsenal are concerned, it's either Benjamin Sesko or Viktor Gyokeres as the number one target for a striker. Personally, I think they need two strikers. I'm not saying both Benjamin Sesko and Viktor Gyokeres, but regardless of who they sign amongst those two, whether it's the 26-year-old from Sporting Lisbon, also a Swedish international who plays with Alexander Isak, or the Slovenian international, that's the 21-year-old at RB Leipzig in Benjamin Sesko, regardless of who they sign of the two, I still think they need an understudy striker, by all means. So, here's what Ben Jacobs of Gimme Sport had to say about the situation at Arsenal. He said to proceed with Benjamin Sesko or Viktor Gyokeres as they look to add at number 9. Sesko is keen to join and has a performance-related clause set at 80 million euros. Chelsea and Liverpool also have Sesko as one option on their list. So you can see the competition for this young striker whose ceiling is really yet discovered. Arsenal first pitched their project to Benjamin Sesko last summer and again made contact in January. I think we've widely spoken about that because in January they walked away quickly because they did not want to antagonize their relationships with RB Leipzig. As soon as RB Leipzig told them they wouldn't be interested in the move or they wouldn't sanction a transfer for the Slovenian striker, because they were still trying to qualify at least for the UEFA Champions League, but they ended up missing out on going to Europe for the first time since 2016-2017. So eventually it didn't work out the way they had hoped. So because they didn't want to antagonize those relationships, that's why Arsenal are quick to walk away from that negotiating in January when they were searching for a striker. But also last summer, again, they pitched the guy and they failed to secure the move. And then he chose to renew his contract with the promise, with the gentleman's agreement that if a suitable offer comes at the end of the season, then they should be willing to let him go. And well, they're waiting for that. Anyways, Ben Jacobs goes on to say that Viktor Gyokeres is a newer target and can leave Sporting Lisbon for around 70 million euros, 30 million below his release clause. Gyokeres is also on Chelsea's radar. Manchester United interest is genuine, but their top target is Liam Delap. It's also understood Gyokeres wants UEFA Champions League football. Of course, Manchester United cannot offer that. Speaking of Gyokeres, the latest reports do have it that United have cooled their interest in Viktor Gyokeres because they know he wants UEFA Champions League football and they can't offer that at the moment. Then he goes on to say overall cost for Gyokeres deal is a bit higher than Sesko due to wages and agent fees. Arsenal, like others, had been waiting to see whether Newcastle got Champions League since without it, the plan was to try Alexander Isak and the battle now expected to go for Sesko or Gyokeres. So I mean we've had that kind of conversation multiple times in comparing the two strikers regarding Arsenal's interest in Alexander Isak to UEFA Champions League, name it all. And according to Ben Jacobs here, he says, pulling off a deal for Viktor Gyokeres while his release clause is, while Sporting Lisbon are willing to settle for a fee anywhere between 60 to 70 million euros, there's agent fees and his wages, which make the budgets a bit higher, which I think potentially should sit back to 100 million euros. Whereas Benjamin Sesko could slightly be cheaper. Viktor Gyokeres is arguably in his prime, although from a lesser league as compared to the German Bundesliga in terms of league strength. So the man is 21 years, still, sort of developing. You want a striker that is still developing, or you want a finished product that is strong, that is industrious? Not to say that, Sesko is not, all those things, but Gyokeres is a powerhouse. Really. So that's the gist of the conversation in as far as Arsenal are concerned when it comes to, their transfer hopefuls and targets, especially when it comes for a striker. Of course, they are looking for a defender, then and that kind of thing, but the striker is their number one priority. So let's go into the gossip, and this is again, of course, Napoli sporting director Giovanni Manna is set to meet with Manchester United over a possible deal for the 20-year-old Argentine international Alejandro Garnacho, who was subject of a rejected £40 million bid from the Italian champions in January. That's according to iPaper. Then, of course, we've spoken about Arsenal's interest in Akaol Mitoma. Then we've spoken about a Swedish forward, that's Viktor Gyokeres, who will leave Sporting Lisbon this summer. The 26-year-old is linked with Arsenal and Chelsea. Then we've spoken about that, and has an agreement with the Portuguese club to allow him leave for less than £84 million, which is release cost, the 100 million euros that we've been talking about. And then breaking down that story with from Ben Jacobs. Then Arsenal want Aston Villa's Argentine goalkeeper Emiliano Martinez, 32-year-old, to return to the club amid interest from Real Madrid in the 29-year-old. Amidst Real Madrid's interest in the 29-year-old Spanish shooter David Bryan. Now, I've read this story during the course of the day, and I mean, some of you may be wondering why am I bringing it. It's gossip. I find these rumors wide of the mark. Why? First of all, David Bryan was just signed permanently last summer, so this is his first full year at Arsenal. Not that he can't leave. Don't forget, Real Madrid still have Thibaut Courtois. They have Andre Rooney in their ranks. But from that, I think, why go for, okay, David Bryan offers experience and that kind of thing, and he is a good goalkeeper. But I do not think Arsenal will be interested in sanctioning the move, especially when they do not even have a number 2 goalkeeper at the moment, because Neto is returning back to Bournemouth. They wouldn't be one to be caught up in the mix of hunting for a good goalkeeper. The goalkeeper that they are interested in as a backup goalkeeper for David Bryan, who is Joan Garcia, Barcelona are also interested in signing him because he has a 25 million euro release clause. They want to sign him and probably loan him out for an extra season. And then, of course, Aston Villa are also interested in signing Joan Garcia in the wake of the news that Emiliano Martinez could leave. So I do not think those reports have any truth to them, according to the Sun. Excuse me. So, take those rumors with a pinch of salt, dear Arsenal fans, or those that do enjoy the sport in general. Then Tottenham assistant manager Ryan Mason is a leading candidate to become West Brom, which Albion boss. Then Leicester City have made a bid for 18-year-old Guinea forward Abdul Karim Traore from French side Bourg-en-Bresse. Then Arsenal want Ghana defensive midfielder Thomas Partey to remain. That one we've spoken really extensively about. We've spoken about Martin Zubimendi. We've spoken about Napoli leading the rest to sign Kevin De Bruyne. The Napoli president was speaking today and he said he had that Kevin De Bruyne had bought a nice house in Naples. So that deal, it's just a matter of time. I think it's just a matter of time before it's completed. So And then, yes, Napoli president Aurelio De Laurentiis has confirmed the club's interest in De Bruyne. And about that, Arsenal sporting director Andrea Bata has held talks with AC Milan winger Rafael Leao. The 25-year-old is in a bid to persuade him. In a bid to persuade him to make the move to the Emirates Stadium. Again, we've spoken about Arsenal's interest in getting a left-footed winger. So that conversation is really, really on. Then, so those are the rumors. That's the gossip. Unless there's any particular one that you want me to expound on, but for me, if I were an advisor to Manchester United, one, I'll be looking to get a goalkeeper, a good goalkeeper out there. Even if it means going to Nottingham Forest to get Martials, even if it means to going to Brentford to get Mark Flacken, who I think is a very, very brilliant goalkeeper. Even if it means to go out there and look for another goalkeeper outside the Premier League, I would, well, even if you're out of the, UEFA Champions League and that kind of thing, I think you could make a good for yourself with Emiliano Martinez, with the promise of good wages, and help the club get back to its greatness, be part of an interesting project. I know you want UEFA Champions League football and that kind of thing, but given the size of the club that Manchester United are, I think they still have the ability to persuade a player to join them, even in their less ideal circumstances. So for me, I'd really consider goalkeeper. That's number one. I would consider a left back in the work that Tyler Masia could leave, and Luke Shaw is destined to leave. So I would consider a left back. Despite we know Patrick has played in that role on the left wing attack. So, but I'd consider left back. I'd consider a number 8, and I've recommended Yuri Tillemans, has Premier League champion with Leicester City. That is 2015-2016 Premier League season. So I trust him. Then I'll go get a striker. Ideally for me, it wouldn't be a striker like Liam Delap. Why? Although he's a young striker, I mean, it could work out, it may not work out. Regardless, there are all risks. But I will be looking for an experienced striker who can help these 23-year-olds, Rasmus Højlund and Joshua Zirkzee, to sort of, learn from him. And because those are critical positions. So for me, those would be really, really the main positions that I would ask United to fix. And then, of course, get a left winger, a replacement for, Rashford, somebody that can play in that kind of role. And then, of course, because Amadou Diallo is quite prone to injury, so he's a winger. And Bryan Mbuwemo couldn't be more attractive than any other candidate, really. And is available for about £50 million, according to reports. I think that's quite a fair fee for a player that has just completed the season with a 27-goal contribution. Already you're getting Matas Cunha. So, so get a goalkeeper, a left back, a midfielder. Those are 3 players. Matas Cunha to the conversation, a winger and a striker. 6 players. Remember the players you're letting go. Christian Lindelof, Luke Shaw, Garnacho, Rashford, Sancho, Anthony. Those are potentials. Maybe Andre Onana. So you have the capacity to get rid of about 10 players out of that United current squad, and then replace them with about 6 to 7 good players. That's how I would look at it. Then, guys, maybe tomorrow morning's broadcast, we'll be reviewing my season predictions versus how the Premier League table ended. There's so many things I got right in there, but there's so many things I equally got wrong in there. So I'll be giving you my comparison for what I predicted and what the table looked like at the end of the season. We'll be discussing that comparison. That is tomorrow morning, possibly. Let me see if we can do the broadcast at 10 a.m. tomorrow morning. But If we fail, we'll still get to do it in the evening. So no rush, but we'll be doing that really, really soon and see. Then Arsenal set themselves or broke a record of about 101 years for completing the season without a player with double digits in terms of goal scoring, because their top scorer was Kai Havertz with 9 goals, followed by Leandro Trossard and Martin Odegaard. Sorry, by Leandro Trossard and Gabriel Martinelli with 8 goals. So they did not have any player scoring 10 or more goals this season. That's quite telling. And for me, that's why I think they need 2 strikers. Yes, injuries have been there, but for me, I really think they need 2 strikers. And again, we will also speak at length about what kind of players that Arsenal need to let go and perhaps replace. We all know that their Kieran is leaving and Jorginho, those ones are confirmed. Club is still in talks with Thomas Partey over a new contract. If those talks fail, then they will have to replace him and move on. And the others, the Fabio Vieiras, of course, Nuno Tavares is leaving, Albert Sambilo Kongas, all those guys. Wes Nelson, all expected to be out. But anyways, guys, it's been a wonderful conversation to have this evening. Thank you to all those that did join us. Thank you to all our new community members, those that joined us today, those that joined us yesterday, and those that have been with us from the very beginning. Much appreciated, really. Thank you for the love and support that you are rendering to this channel. And we hope to continue making progress on all fronts. But it's been really, really interesting. Maybe briefly about Manchester United. Have a game played in Sweden against Leeds, and after that they will fly out to the United States for the rest of their preseason. So Manchester United fans, that's the news from New Camp in as far as a preseason is concerned. So let's wait and see. Arsenal, we do have a game to play against Tottenham in preseason. So I think it will be the first London that that's the first North London between Spurs and Arsenal during preseason. So look forward to that, as well as others that will be coming your way. Anyways, we'll keep you up to date, but do not forget Chelsea on Wednesday are in action against Real Betis in the finals of the UEFA Conference League, while the UEFA Champions League finals will come on Saturday, 31st, between Paris Saint-Germain and Inter Milan at the Allianz Arena in Germany. So expect those to come. Otherwise, it's been a pleasure having you all. Unless there's any question that you would wish me to respond to, or there's any submission, any parting notes, I wish to, read out some of our commenters today and wish them a wonderful night. A plus J, it was a pleasure having you on. Mr. Leo, it was a pleasure having you on. Maria Momoto, thank you always. Emma Belson, always a pleasure to have you. John Hickey, thank you so much for the love and support. Much appreciated. And all those that were unable to be with us tonight, let's hope that tomorrow does offer us a better opportunity for you to be with us. Have a blessed night. I'll see you guys soon. Bye-bye.